Arthur White, EVO Incorporated.
Appreciate the time today, Mr. Arthur White out of the Denver District, Littleton, Colorado. One of the reasons why we're talking with Mr. White today is rigs are down 20%, and so one of the things that Crude Life is doing is just calling around and asking people how business is doing, and a lot of people are doing fine. Some people are down a little bit, and some people, like Mr. Arthur White, has found some success in some areas in the oil and gas industry. And thank you for joining the program today and having some good news. With rigs down 20% on the year, just breaking even seems like a good strategy for a lot of oil and gas companies. But our previous talk, it sounds like you figured out a way to find some revenue as of last April. Congratulations, and how's business today?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, business is steady and growing. So we're in the business of running cameras down oil and gas wells, primarily to inspect and see what's going on. So traditionally, that's been really a reactive type business, right? We'll get a call when something's going wrong, and then go out and inspect and diagnose the problem and get the operator back on. But what we've been doing recently with our new camera system is a lot more proactive, and so we can get into that right now.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I'm starting to think of all the different questions, and they're more of statements, I guess, that I could see where it would be extremely beneficial to have that information before you even, you know what I mean? It's more, to me, it's more like a due diligence, if you will.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, so as I mentioned, for the proactive part of the business now, we're looking and using the camera to evaluate frac treatments in the wells. And so what we're doing is we're visually looking at the perforations and measuring them pretty accurately. And then from that information, we're actually measuring the eroded area on the perfs. So so top level, basically, we're seeing where the frac went for the operators and helping them to optimize their perforation and frac procedure. And so helping them to make that much more efficient. And so that's been taken off.
Explain just kind of, if you would, how that makes it a little bit more efficient. I mean, it can be a pretty complicated industry, but at the same time, it can be pretty simple too.
Sure. Yeah. So frac optimization basically means you want a nice, even fracture treatment across the entire lateral or producing area of the well. And so for traditional completions where it's plug and perf a cemented casing, without looking at this, you can have some real uneven areas where part of the lateral will frac real well, other parts will not. And so we're visually looking at that now and seeing, verifying, what's going on, why is it uneven, and basically it's due to perforations being too small or plugged off, etc. So we can visually see that, whereas other methods are more iterative, I guess. So you can do it by step down rates. You can do it also with other technology. But there's nothing like looking at the actual perforation hole to figure out what's going on.
So is there such thing as a perfect frac? I always hear that term.
Well, I don't know if I don't think there's one out there that I know about. But the whole idea is to go that direction and make it as efficient as possible.
That's always the goal, I hear, is to get that perfect frac, which is, it's like it can't be done. Well, maybe it can, but it's always good to have that brass ring, if you will.
Sure.
I did want to ask you too about education and innovation. Anytime you've got, whether it's sensors or I remember covering stories 7-8 years ago with people who had, a lot of this streamlining of human resources and sensors out on the rigs and that sort of thing. It took them a few years to really break through that kind of old way of thinking, if you will. And that's normal anytime you have innovation, to have an education period. How was your education period with this? Because you mentioned before it was reactive and now it's proactive. So it seems like you succeeded with the education.
It's an ongoing process for sure. So, as we talk to our customers, we're going over the benefits. We're learning from each job ourselves also, and able to pass that on. And it just keeps building upon itself. But it's a continual process for sure.
So what is it you guys are offering then as far as services? You do the downhole video. So if somebody's listening right now and they want to utilize your service, that sort of thing, what walk us through what you guys do with the energy companies.
Sure. So our main focus has been visual analytics. So our core business is the imaging and video that we get from the camera systems that we have, and then what we're trying to do are things like I mentioned, measure perforations quite accurately visually. But so wherever we can, we're trying to add numbers to the kind of the qualitative information you get from the video. So the other things we can do are add caliper tools with the video, so we can both look at problems and measure them physically and put those two things together. So we're trying to add numbers to the video, I guess, if that makes sense.
Oh, sure it does. Do you guys do anything else besides the video?
So video, the calipers, as I mentioned, other tools that we're looking to combine are noise tools, so acoustic type tools, looking to partner up with other companies with ultrasonic type measurements and things like that. So that's the primary business right now, but always looking for more tools to combine where it makes sense.
And you're talking about a combination of video and audio put together?
Yes, yep. We've done that in areas like Alaska and the Middle East so far.
What's the advantages and obstacles behind that? I mean, obviously there's got to be some advantages for somebody to do it, but there's got to be some obstacles, otherwise everybody'd be doing it.
Well, sure, yeah. So advantages for the noise or the audio type tool. Primary application for that is looking for leaks, and so with a traditional noise tool, it's you're basically listening for a leak that's coming in. When we combine it with the camera, we can actually see it and listen to it. So obstacles to that, and the main obstacle to any of the camera work is just having the visual conditions for it, right? So we've got to be able to clear that well up to be able to see visually. And in some cases, when you're on the production side listening for leaks, it may be a case where you're getting a lot of bubbles in the water, right? And so you're not getting a whole lot visually. And so that can be the obstacle, I guess, in that case. But in many cases, we can still make that work, and it's relatively new. The combination, I should say, noise tools have been around for a while, but the combination of that and camera is still pretty young. We've only been doing that for 2-3 years. Is
there any other combinations that you guys are doing out there besides the audio and the visual? I can't think of any, but I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, just as I mentioned previously, the caliper with it. So kind of if you think in terms of the five senses, we're feeling with the caliper, but we're also getting a measurement and seeing as well. So that's the primary other tool at the moment.
Okay. All right. So we still got taste. And
taste.
And we got one more after that too. And then we got Spider-Man in there for the sixth sense, where it'll tell you where the next well is going to be.
There you go.
Hey, there we go. Now that's the business I need to get into. Well, Jay, we'll wrap her up here. Go ahead and let people know how they can utilize your service. Sure, appreciate you coming on, because as well as I do, especially in Colorado, anytime there's uncertainty in the air, people are always either trying to figure out how to consolidate their business or expand their business and think of different ways. And so coming on, and it's good to see some of these innovations and technologies are really starting to fill the gaps, if you will. Whereas I talked to a couple guys that work in the this is kind of off the record here, but so I won't give any names or anything along those lines, but drill bit type guys, frac heads and that sort of thing. And, their business is down a little bit, but that's what you expect when rigs are down 20%. So appreciate you coming on and, giving us some of the good news, if you will, out there in the business, in the world. So give yourself a plug and let people know how they can become a little bit more efficient with their wellheads.
Oh, sure. Yep. So, best way to contact us is probably through our website. That's www.evcam.com. EV like extreme video and cam like camera. And then all of our contact information is on there, as well as case studies and just everything that we're doing with the cameras, calipers, noise tools, etc. So appreciate the time.